Hello everyone. Welcome back to another stream. So today we'll be building a memory game, I guess, in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So this is a memory matching game, which I just called it memory match. So you basically have to match cards to their, matching pair. You basically, if you have played Purple Palace from the Windows 7 era, then you probably know this game, right? And this is a very common game. So you basically have to find matching pairs. I'm fairly terrible at this game, actually. Uh, oh wow. Never mind. Okay, I'm just terrible at this game, but we will be building this game in today's stream. So if you like the stream, and if you're excited to build this, and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that said, let's get started. So what I'm gonna do here is basically first I'm gonna minimize OBS and actually pull you guys out. And now what we have to do is to make a project folder. So fortunately I've already made it. I'm just gonna whip that out, and there we go. So this will be the actual folder which I opened from VS Code, obviously, and this will be basically our project folder where we'll building this project. So what I'm gonna do here is just do this, and I also have a code just to notes for me because I'm on live stream. So here what I'm gonna do is I'm basically going to first make index.html basically our structure of the project. So we need three files, that is HTML, second one CSS. I'm just gonna do style.css, and next a JavaScript file. I'm just gonna do script.js. So this will be the three files that we need to build this project. I mean, again, we have done this so many times at this point. You should be quite familiar with this. So here will be our boilerplate. I'm just gonna name it as memory card game or something like that. You can name it whatever you want, obviously. Here I need two links. So first one will be the link that will link our style.css and our index.html files. So I'm just gonna, in href, I'm just gonna put our style.css file just like that. Now second thing I need is a font awesome link. So this is Cloudflare CDN font awesome link. You can also get your own link by just logging into your website and just pasting the script tag in your head tag, right? Pretty standard stuff. I've talked about this a million times in different streams. So yeah. So next is actually linking our script.js file. So that can be done by just that. So make sure it's at the end of your body tag, otherwise it can cause problems. Speaking by experience here. So next, what I'm going to do here is basically start with our HTML structure. So what I'm going to do is just to make a container div. So inside that there will be a couple of things. The first one is we'll make the header. So here I'm just gonna, either you can just straight up use the header tag, but right now I kind of don't care about SEO, so I'm just gonna make a div that will basically have a class of header. So next is h1. So since we are basically making heading, I forgot to press go live, oops. So I'm just gonna do that. So here what I need to do is I need to make a h1 and give a heading. So this will basically be memory match. So that will basically pop in our website. So next thing what I can do is add some icons to make it kind of look nice. So the first icon I'll add is a star application, not application, star icon. What am I saying? And here what I can do is give a space, so there will be a space between that, and I can do just copy that, make a space here, and paste it right there. So that will be our heading. So next is stats. So as you saw in the intro, we basically had few stats for the game. So first one was moves, so how many moves the actual user take to finish the game. Next is timer, so you basically saw a timer ticking, right? And third one is matches, so how many matches did the user get. So I'm just gonna make a div that will have a class of stats, and inside this give a individual stat. So the first stat is move, so I'm just gonna do start stat label. Initial, let's say it's just do moves here. I'm just gonna copy paste that. This will be the actual stat value. So initially, let's say that's 0. So that's one stats. Next, I can just copy paste this because it's basically the same thing but different content. I can change that to time and that. So let's say initially that's 0, 0, 0. There we go. The next is matches. So here I can just set it to matches and just do 0 out of 8. So there, in total, we'll have 8 cards, right? And let's say initially it's 0 out of 8, which basically is the initial value, right? So that is it for the header. So next thing what I can do is basically actually style the game board, like actually make our game board. So this will basically be a empty content div, which will have a class of game board and also ID of game board. This will be empty, which we will be filling from JavaScript by making creating card, right? So we'll do that for JavaScript. And the next thing is controls. So what we're gonna do is at the end of our website, there will basically be a new game button where if the user clicks, it will basically just reset everything from a brand new start, right? I can just, for that, I can just say controls, I guess not. I can basically make a div that will have a class of controls and also do button with a class of btn. And here I can just do on click, I'm gonna scroll down actually, and just do new game. So that will basically be the function that will be triggered when hitting this button. Now here we haven't made this function, we still have to make it in JavaScript, but we will do it once we reach JavaScript. Right now we're just inside HTML. And inside this I can just type new game as the content, right? And also give it an icon, so I can just give it a redo icon. So I can just type redo there, that will give the redo icon just like that. That is it for the controls div. So after this is we'll basically make a model which will basically trigger every time the user wins, right? So basically a winning model. So it will basically be the stats, it will basically show all of the stats. So how many moves did you take, how much time did you take, and your overall score. And there will also be a new game button, which will basically say play game, play again. And here I can just do model, also give an ID of win model. The reason I'm giving an ID is it will be easier to basically get the DOM from JavaScript. So here I can just do model content, and here I can do h2. Just give you win, just like that. So to make it look nice, I can give a icon in front of it. So just do, let's say, trophy. That basically makes the most sense here, right? And also probably put it here too, just like that. And next is the overall score, as I said. So that'll be paragraph tag. I'm just gonna do moves, and this will be the total number of moves. I'll use a span with an ID of final moves, just like that. Give me a second, guys. I can basically do that. I'm basically quickly gonna check actually if we are live or not. Give me a second, guys. So we are live, so that's great. Give me a second. Okay, so we are live. Never mind. I got confused for a second. Okay, let's continue. So here what I can do is, so this will be the content. So let's say the moves are like, I don't know, 20, I guess. It'll basically get stored just like that. Now, we need to control that using JavaScript. So for now, I'm just going to leave it empty. And I'm just going to basically just copy paste this, right? You can actually add a BR tag here, just like that, and basically change the moves to time and just do final time. So that will be our thing, right? So at last, as I said, we'll basically add a play again button. So I'm just going to give it a class of button to make it the same class design as this button right here. And I'm just going to do on click. On click, it will basically trigger the same function we declared right here. I mean, we haven't declared it, so here I'm just gonna put the content as play again. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the HTML. It's very simple, but most of the thing is handled by JavaScript. So yeah. So let's go and quickly style this, and we'll move on to JavaScript after that, after we style it, right? So for CSS, what I'm gonna do here is basically just do margin 0, adding 0, and do box sizing set to border box, just like that. It will basically reset the margin, which is the universal margin, to 0 and padding 0 and box sizing border box. So what that does is basically also counts the margin and padding as, size. So it will also account for margin and padding, not only for, the actual thing, when you're actually giving margin and padding. So the next thing what I can do is basically set a body. So I'm just going to call body here and just do font family set to a cosmic. What I can do is basically just set to comic sans ms and give Arial as the second, and last I can just give sans serif. So that will be the actual theme we're going to, like. So if I just give it Arial, it will just be kind of professional, which again we don't want. We kind of want it to be gamery, so I basically chose this font. The next thing I can do is change the background to, let's say, something like a kind of tintish orange. So I can just do FFE4 and B5. So by the way, if you want the source code for this, it will be linked down in the description box below. So yeah, it will be all in the description box below. You can basically check out the source code. You can also try it for yourself, see what happens, all of that. Yeah. For padding, I'm just gonna give it 20 pixels. I also do min height, set that to 100 VH. Just like that, it will basically set the body container to basically match our view height, right? Next is container. I'm basically going to set the container to max width set to 900 pixels. Also do margin set to 0 and auto. Like that. Now for the header, right? I'm just going to call the header class and do text align, set that to center. Background was set to white, just like that. Also do border radius, set that to 25 pixels. And give margin bottom to 25 pixels as well. And here I'm just gonna do, what else I can do? I can set the box shadow to, let's say, 0, 8 pixels, 0. And same like orange-ish color. I can just do that. There we go. It's a darker version of that. And next I can set a border, so I can just do 5 pixels, solid white. There we go. So next thing what I can do is what is next actually? I forgot. So next is h1. There we go. So actual text, this text right here. So for h1, I can basically just call h1 because there's only one h1 in our code. So I can just set the color to be kind of pinkish. So I can just do ff 6b and 9d. Brian, welcome to the stream. Long time no see. Again, yeah. It's festival period. It was festival period, so you know, it kind of did um not did not stream. I'm sorry for that. But yeah, we're back again. So here I can just do that, and here I can just do margin bottom set to 20 pixels. There we go. So next thing what I can do is basically do stats, set that to display flex. There we go. Justify content, I'm just gonna put it to center. I'm just gonna set the gap about 15 pixels. Do flex wrap set to wrap. There we go. So that's for the stats div. So for individual stat div, right, I can just set the background to probably the same color. This one right here. Or I can set a different color actually. So I can just do FFE07A. There we go. And set the color to white. Give a padding. 12 pixels and 25 pixels. How was your front-end journey going? You said you were studying that, right? Border radius, I'm just going to give 20 pixels. Also do box shadow set to 0, 5 pixels, 0. And just set that to D4886A. Right? And next I can just set a border to be 4 pixels, solid white. Just like that. And yeah. So next is stat label. So inside stat we have, you know, stat label and stat value. Like these two right here. So we have to style that too. So here I can just call them first. So first one is stat label. Now here I can just set the font size to 0.9 em. And set the margin bottom to 5 pixels. There we go. And do stat value. We do font size 1.8 em. And do font weight set to bold. There we go. Just like that. And yeah. The next thing what I can do is now style the game board. Car lover, welcome to the stream again. Long time no see. Why are you not using Tailwind CSS? Because this is for beginners. Most of the beginners don't know Tailwind. Yes, that is exactly why. Yeah, you're correct. Your assumption is correct. Yeah. The thing is, if I were using Tailwind, it will basically be really easy because kind of writing CSS is kind of pain in the butt, right? But most of our viewers are just freshers and just getting into web development. So if I were to use Tailwind, they'll just be like, what? Because the thing is, you have to learn CSS to learn Tailwind. Because it's basically the same thing, but inlined and just different like writing style, right? For like, just say display flex, you just write flex. So basically the same thing, but most of the users are not familiar with Tailwind, so we don't use Tailwind. Now we're like slowly we're deciding to shift. Let's say for in future, I'm hoping at least we can shift to Tailwind, and then we can shift to React. Maybe Next.js, you know, you might, never know what happens. It's so good, sir. My journey in front is awesome, but not really totally good. No, but I'm trying to my best to capture front end jobs. Thanks. Oh, uh, damn. Okay, you're welcome. I don't know how much I'm helping, but yeah. So here, what I'm gonna do? Okay, back to stall. Let's stop stalling and back to code. So yeah, I have basically made the game board grid, right? Here, what I'm gonna do is I'll first style the game board actual game board container. So I'm just gonna make it a grid, which will basically align the cards as a grid. So grid is a better choice here. So next I can just define how many columns I want. So I'm just gonna do repeat. We can make 4 for per fraction, so that's 4 columns. And set the gap of 15 pixels. Also set the margin bottom of 25 pixels. So that is the grid. Now here, what I have to do is basically style the cards, right? So I'm just gonna style the card first. So here I'll basically make a temporary HTML structure for the cards. So I have it right here. We'll basically copy paste that to JavaScript once we are done. Here I can just make a div called card, which will have a class of card, and inside that we'll basically make a card called card front. So there will be two step, like the two phase, right? Like not two, I think two phase, you can say that. So first face will basically be the front face, and next is back face. So front face will contain only like the heart emoji, and when you flip it, it will actually give the actual image. So for front, I'm basically gonna give a heart emoji. So I'm just gonna do FAS, not emoji, icons. And I misworded it. So that is the thing for front. Now here, what I can do is next I can just set a div here. So I can make another div with a card back, and give a image tag. So I'm just gonna leave that empty for now, and that is pretty much it, right? And we'll basically give a data set for this, but we'll basically do it from JavaScript for now. I can just do that to show you guys how it will look. What is happening in chat? Oh, okay. So I can make your own. I I'm totally practicing his tutorial on how effects works. I get tried to do it on my own. I'm not totally copying his works, but I'm using it to see how it works. Okay, so here what I'm gonna do is after this, I can just basically make a card. So here I can just do card, call this class right here. And just do background, set that to transparent. And just do aspect ratio, set to 1. Just like that. And set the cursor to pointer. Also do position set to relative. And do transform style. We'll basically do preserve 3D. So we have to do this in order to make the flipped effect, alright? Do transition here and do transform. We'll select that and do 0.6 seconds. Add probably ease here. And just do, I think we don't need ease. Actually, I can just do that. And just do hover. Do transform. So when you hover over it, it will basically scale it from some extent, just like that, right? And there we go. And yeah. Now I'm totally 2 months now. I spend every day coding 2 or 3 times a day. I'm working in I code tonight. I'm interested in web dev because of his works. I don't know what I'm doing. I appreciate him because he, when I ask question, he really answers me. Thanks, sir. You're welcome, man. I mean, that is what I'm here for, though. I don't think you have to like thank me for that, no? Do flip. Oh, do that. Set the transform and do rotate. Oops. Rotate Y. So I need an angle here. And cut that. Trying to give an angle and do 180 degrees, right? So that will be the flipped state. Now here, I also need to add a hover effect for the flipped state as well. I'm just gonna do hover right here. Now here will be two different things, right? First, it will basically transform it, for 180 degrees and also scale it by 1.08. Just like that, right? Am I missing something? I don't think so. Did I mess up something here? I don't think I did. Oops. So yeah, so here, after this, I can just basically make the actual front and back. So for the front, uh, so here I can just do front hard dot back. Here I can just do position, set that to absolute here. And here just do width set to 100%. Also set the height to 100%. Also do back face visibility, set that to hidden. And also do border radius set to 20 pixels. Display set to flex. Justify content center and align items center. Right? That will be the mutual CSS code, and this will basically be the individual. So here I can set the background to white and set the color to this pinkish color. And here I can just set the font size, increase that by 3.5 pm. And just do box shadow, set that to 0, 6 pixels, 0, and D4A and 574. And also do border and do 5 pixels, solid, and just do 9, 8, D8, and C8. And yeah, that will be a card design for one of the cards. But obviously there will not be only one card. We also have to, make other cards. That we'll just be doing from JavaScript. We'll basically loop for how many cards we have in the array. So we'll basically discover that in JavaScript, so don't worry. So after this, we have to make for the back face, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a flipped state for this. If I do that, it will basically flip the thing. So I can just do add flipped here. So that will basically disappear because we basically flipped it, right? Now for back face, I can just set it for card back, set the background to white again. Also do transform, rotate, rotate Y, I don't need that, and set that to 180 degrees. Just like that. That will basically make it rotated. What is happening in chat? I'm just trying effects, and important is Node Foundation step by step. I'm a bit struggling in JavaScript, but I'm trying my very best to learn more, and that's the mindset. Let's go. Is there any secret strategy you're using when learning frontend? I don't think there's a secret strategy. You start from HTML. Once you like have the understanding of HTML structure, you basically just move to CSS. And after that, just start making layouts, like the static layouts. And once you're like comfortable like copying any layouts, you move on to JavaScript to add, you know, logic. That is pretty much it. And next I can set the overflow to hidden. The reason I do this is we'll basically add images, right? So that'll basically prevent it from the image being overlapped. So yeah, overflow hidden is a must here. And next I can just set a box shadow. So I'm just gonna select this color right here. There we go. And next is border. I'm just gonna do 5 pixel solid for this right here. There we go. The same thing, I basically recoded it. And yeah, that is pretty much it for the back face. So here, since the back face also has an image, so we also have to account for that. So for image, I can just actually for now I'm gonna give a basically just gonna give a random image here just to see how it looks. Okay. So for image right now it's really stretched, so I can just do width. Oops, I already did that. I can set the width to 100%. Also do height 100%. And in case now it looks stretched, as you can see. So to fix that, we'll just do object fit to cover. There we go. And yeah. So after the image, I can just set the controls. So that is for the thing. What I'm going to do here is undo that. And here, I can just do... I can basically copy, paste, copy this, make a variable here saying card HTML, and just give this right here. So it'll basically get stored right here. I can just cut away this just like that, since we don't need it anymore, right? I just basically copy pasted that to just style and show you guys how it will look. Okay. So next is controls, which all of this. And here what I can do is just set, wait, controls is not all of this, right? Controls is just this button. So here what I can do is just set the background to our signish. I think it's cyan, right? I can just set that to that. Goodbye's gotta go. Huh? Okay, bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in, man. So next thing, I can just set the color to white, and wait, that doesn't do anything. So for controls, what I can do is, wait, that is not supposed to be done. I can just set the text line to center. That will basically make it come to center. It was actually code of a different thing. That is for the button. Sure, I can just set the background to that. Right, give the color to white. I can give a border of 5 pixels solid white here. Give a padding of 15 pixels and 40 pixels. Also do border radius set to 20 pixels. And give a font size of 1.2 EM. And do cursor set to pointer. Also do box shadow set to 0, 6 pixels, 0, 7 AB, and 8 A8. There we go. And do transition, all 0.3 seconds at ease. So that will be the button. Now obviously I have to make a hover effect for that, so I'm just going to do hover and do transform, translate to -3 pixels. So when you hover over it, it will just basically translate slightly upward, just like that. So next I can just set the box shadow to 0, 9 pixels, 0, and do 7 AB, just like that. So it will have a button kind of effect, because since box shadow is still, will basically change the box shadow, right? Basically increase that by 3 pixels, and also we translate that to 3 pixels upward, it kind of gives a button feeling, right? Just like that. So next is the button.active. So when you click, since we gave it a button look to make it, feel like a button, what I can do is define a active state. So active state is the state when you click the button, right? So here I can just do, for that, I can just translate it to 2 pixels. So when you click it, it will kind of shake. I mean, it basically translates to 2 pixels downward, right? And also define a box shadow to a smaller box shadow. I'm just going to do 3 pixels, 0, the same color, obviously. Just like that. So it will give a button kind of vibe, just like that. So that is how you make a, button field button. I don't know what what you call it. So next is the model, which is this right here. So for the model, what I can do is first call the model. So I'm just gonna make it display none. The reason I do this is it will be displayed none. Now for now, we don't have to do that. So I'm just gonna put it flex for now. And make it position fixed, and make it top 0, left 0, and set the width to 100%, set the height to 100%, set a background. So this will basically be kind of a background, like a grayish background, to make it like top of it, just like that, right? So basically it will be focused on this container right here, the kind of a filter. And here I can just do justify content center, also do align item center. Now since it's a flex box, it will basically be right at the middle. Now here I can do modal dot show and change the display flex and make it flex. Now what I can do here is, since I've made a active state for this model, I can change that to none, and that will disappear. Come to HTML and give the show class to the class list, and basically it will make it pop. So that is basically how you control it from JavaScript. We basically add the show class into the HTML and it will basically show itself. So next is actual content div, right? Here I can just do model content and just do background set to white, set the padding to 0 pixels, set the border radius to 30 pixels, and do text line set to center. Also do box shadow set to 0, 10 pixels, 0, and give the same orange color. I think I'll give a lighter orange. I'm just going to do D4A and 574. Like that. And set the border to 6 pixel, solid. Do this pinkish color, just like that. And next, we'll basically give a animation. So here I can basically set the animation to bounce. Let's say the bounce animation is for 0.5 seconds. That is the duration of the animation. So the reason I'm doing this is when the content pops, I want it to give a bouncing animation. So basically be a bouncing animation when the actual model loads, right? So we have to define this bounce animation, so we'll use the keyframes. So we have to make keyframes for this. So we'll basically, define for bounds here. So I'm gonna set two different states. So one is for 0% and 100%. That is the initial and final phase. So for those, I'm just gonna make the scale to default, right? However, when the animation duration is about 50% in, right? So that is about 0.25 seconds. So for that, it will basically just scale it a little bit upwards. So as you can see the bouncing effect, right? If I'm basically just refreshing the page by just saving it. So you actually can see the bouncing effect just like that. So that is the bouncing effect. Now for the actual content, I'm just going to call h2 here and set the color to that like that. Give font size 2.8 em, just like that, and basically give margin bottom about 20 pixels, just like that. So next is the modal content paragraphs. Sure, I can just change the color to that right there. And at last, just do font size 1.4 em. Margin bottom set to 30 pixels. And font weight set to bold, just like that. So that is it for the modal contents. I can just remove the show, that will disappear. And next, for the media queries, I can just do max width. I can give it a max width of 768 pixels. So for 768 pixels, I'm just going to do game board. I'm just going to set the grid template columns to repeat 3 and per fraction, since initially it was 4. Next, I can just set the h1, which is the title, to I'm just going to decrease the font size to 2 em. So initially, I think it was 2.5 em, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was 2.5 em. So when it hits 768 pixels, it will basically change it to 2.5, 2 em, not 2.5. So next, I can just actually copy paste it. And next, we'll basically be styling for 480 pixels. And here, since it's even smaller, I'm just gonna change the grid column to 2, not instead of 3. And I'm also gonna decrease the gap to about 10 pixels. Font size, I'm also gonna decrease it even more, so I'm just gonna set that to 1.6. So if I just do that, this is about 480 pixels, so that will be the actual thing. So next is card font, card front, sorry, and change that to 2.5. 2.5. Yeah. Just like that. So that is it for the CSS. So now let's move on to JavaScript, right? So for JavaScript, what I'm going to do, so we already have this variable, right? I'm just going to leave that there for now. Actually, it'll just basically make it difficult for me. So for now, I'm just going to put that down right there. So here, I'm basically going to make a array which will store all of our image URLs. So here it will just basically be like this. I have an image URL right here, right? And it will basically be the array of image URLs. So I already have an array that I made, so I'm just gonna copy paste that. This is basically an array with image URL stored as a string. So this is nothing fancy. So there are a bunch of image URLs we can use. In total, there are 8, right? So I'm basically going to use that. So here I can basically declare our variables now. So this will be our initialization variables or initial variables. So the first variable is first card. So initially, let's say that's null. Second is our second card, right? Since we need a pair, so that will be first card and the second card, and we'll basically check if they match. So if they do, we'll just make it remain flipped, right? Saying if it matches, and yeah, and we'll also update the scoreboard and whatever, right? Second card also will be null initially, obviously here, and next do var can flip. So it will basically be a state for, we'll check if the card the user is trying to click or user is trying to make click is flippable or not. So if it is, it will basically set it to true initially. Let's say it's already matched, or it will basically be the user basically just click the same card. It will basically be false, right? Next is the matches. So this will be the state for if it matches. So it'll basically be the counter for this matches text content right here. The next is the time, so I'm just gonna do, no, next is moves actually, so I can just do moves. Initially, let's say moves is 0. Also do seconds, so this is the timer right here, right? So let's say var seconds initially is 0, and I'll just set a state for the timer. I'm just gonna do time running equals to false initially. So when we want to trigger the timer, we'll just set this to true. And also set a timer interval. So they'll basically be the timer interval, right? So next is the first function that we need to make, and that is our start game function. So this will basically be the function that basically starts the game. So here I'll just basically make a function called start game, and let's say that variable first one, it will just basically get the DOM. So I'm just going to do game board document.get element by ID. We'll just basically do game board. So that will basically get us the game board container, right? So this DOM right here. So now, oops, I forgot to do that. Don't forget to do that, guys. And here I can just set the game board, and initially I'll just clear the HTML. Just like that. It will basically set the HTML of that DOM to an empty string. Now we have to make a pair. So we have 8 different images in this array, right? Now we need duplicates of that array. So we can basically do that by using a function called concat. So basically just concat this array with the same array, right? If we put the if we just concat the same array. So here I'm just going to do images dot concat, and since we need these same images, we'll basically concat it to the same variable, so same array. So here I can just give images just like that. So this will be a new array with duplicates of this two array, right? Which is again same array. So now we can just do cart images dot sort. So here since sort is a higher order function, we need to give it a function here. So I'm just going to do function. Oops. And here I can just do return. We'll basically do math.random. It will generate a number between 0 and 1. We'll subtract it by 0.5, and we'll basically return that from this function. Right? It will basically shuffle the cards. And here I can just do for var I equals 0. So we're basically starting the loop. So I'm just going to do I is less than card images dot length, since we are just looping till this area right here. And next we have to increment the I just like that. Now I can start making the card. So here I can just declare a card. So that'll just be document.create element and make div right here. So this will basically make a div. I can actually format the document, put that there. and do card.class class name equals to give it a class name of card, right? Next, I can just do inner HTML. Now, this will be the HTML that we need right here. So this will be the thing. I can cut that, paste that there just like that, and bring the whole thing one step forward. And now we can actually put the thing. So for front, it will basically be the same, right? However, I can basically give it a different image source. So we know that our image source comes from this array, right? Since it's a concatenated version of the images array, which basically has 8 images, right? Here, I can just basically do card, Since we use backtick, I can just pass a variable using that. I can just basically do card images, and since I'll just loop it I, since it's an array and we have I as our loop variable here, and that's pretty much it. So after this, what I can do is, after this, I can just do card on click. So if we click on the card, we'll basically trigger a function called flip card, which again we'll make in a bit. And I'll also assign a data set for the card. I can just do image equals to card images and I. So that will basically assign a data set for image as data image, and it will basically just give it different card images according to its a variable of the I, right? So next I can just set the game board to append child and just append into the card, right? Which is this right here. So that is the thing. That is for the loop, right? So after this, what I need to do is reset all of the variables. Since we have not resetted the thing, so when a new game starts, if the user already played the game, these all variables need to reset, right? So here I can just do first card equals to null, right? Also do second card, scroll down, second card equals to null. Also do can flip, set that to true. Also do matches, set that to 0. Also do move, set that to 0 as well. And here also do seconds, set that to 0 as well. And do timer running. Timer running, set that to false. There we go. Okay, timer running. There we go. So ls will call a function called update stats. Again, this is a function that we haven't made, which we will in a bit. So next I can just do clear interval and pass the time interval. So that is the start game function. That is pretty much it. So the second function that we need to make is literally the flip card function, right? So I can just do function flip card, right? Give it a name of flip card. So since this job is to just flip, so the first thing we have to check if the can flip variable for that card is true or not. So here I can just set the can flip. If the can flip is if can flip is false, I can just do return, right? So if can flip is false, it will, we have used a not operator, it will set that to true and will return from the function. So next we'll check if this dot class list, since it's the DOM, right, we'll just check if the class list class list dot contains, we'll check if it is flipped. So it's basically checking if the card div has a flipped class. So if it does have it, we'll just basically return from the function. Now again, another is matched. So if it has matched, it will again return from the function because there's no flipping that matched card and also flipped card, right? So another thing we have to do is we'll check if timer is running. So if it is not running, we'll basically start the timer. Again, this is a function that we have to make later, so we'll basically put that there for now. Next, I can just do class list, and we'll add the flipped, right? So we'll check if it's flipped. We'll basically give the flipped card, and here I can just set the if the first card is null. So here, if the first card is null, that means the first card, right? First card is null. It will basically set the first card to that card. Now, you might be getting confused. What is this? So if we come up into our start game function, we have basically called this function in the card, right? So this basically means one card, right? So this card right here. So here, card basically means whatever card, all of the card that currently the player clicked on, right? I just wanted to, clarify that in case you're wondering. So that is it for the first card. So now we have to understand, if the first card is not null, right, that means there's already a first card. So in that case, that will be else. Now second card will be this, whatever the player clicked on. And we'll set the can flip for that to false. Okay, so we cannot flip that. And also give the moves to ++. So we'll increment the moves since we basically made one move, right? And also update the stats after this, and also check match. So since after choosing one pair, we need to check match. So this function right here will basically check the match if the first card and second card matches or not. So we have to make that function. So let us quickly do that. So we'll declare a function called check match, right? So here, let's start the function. So here we need the match. So here it will be pretty much very, very simple. So we have given, as you remembered, we have given data set for individual card, right? Now we'll basically check if match, which is the match, if first card dot dataset dot image. So the dataset of image does actually match the second card dataset image, right? So that will be a Boolean variable. So if match is true, that means if match, that means the state where match is true. We'll just set the timeout, and here set timeout just like that. Here we'll basically make 500. Now if the thing actually works, we'll just do first card dot class list. We'll add the matched, right? I can just copy paste that, change that to second card, right? We'll append the matched class list, and we'll also increment the matches thing. By the way, did I do for matched? I didn't. I thought I forgot. So I did not make a matched state. So let me quickly do that. I'm going to find the card. Where is it? So that's his card front. Card dot flip. So after card dot hover, we basically have to make card dot matched, and if it does match, we'll just basically do pointer events, just like that. And here I can just do matches and do update stats and also do reset cards. Right? So that will basically reset the cards. Now, if the value of the match, right? If matches equals to 8, so that is the variable right here. So since we have 8 images, so if matches reaches, the value of matches reaches 8, we'll basically just end game. So this is another function that you make. This will basically end the thing. So after that, for the else block, we'll also make another timeout. The timeout will be of 1000 milliseconds, that is 1 second. And we'll basically just, since it doesn't match, we'll basically do first card dot class list dot remove and do flipped. And yeah, we'll just do the same for second card. And after that, we'll basically just reset the cards. Just like that. Okay, so we have to make for the, now next is making the reset card function. So this is nothing. The thing that it does is basically resets the value of first card and second card for the next cards. You can do first card equals to null. Do the same for second. Do the same for second card as well. And also set the can flip to true. So that is literally it for the reset card function. So next is the start timer. Start timer function here. So if I just call the start game function right now, so if I just do start game function, it should work just like that. The card should load, and when you click over it, it should flip, right? It doesn't have the thing right now. It's basically just static since we haven't made any condition for that. So that right now I'm just gonna just put it right there. I mean, I can still be calling that, but it's fine. For the design, I'm just gonna make it. I'm just gonna call it for now. We'll basically close that later though. Jalal Adin, welcome to the stream, man. Hello, how are you, man? How was your day? We're basically making a memory match game, if you're wondering. So here we'll set the timer running. So here I can just set the timer running to true. Also do timer intervals to set interval. Wait, set intervals. So that will be around 1000 milliseconds and increment the value of seconds each time. So it will basically be, this function will basically run every single second, and we'll update the stats every single second just like that. Now finally we'll make the update stats function. So here I can just make a function for update stats. So here we need a couple of DOMs, right? The first DOM that we need, it moves, right? So here I can just do document dot get element by ID. Well, I can basically scroll down for a second here. We'll get the DOM for moves and just do text content. We'll do moves. So next I can just do, I can copy paste that, set that to matches that'll get me the matches, which is this right here. So here I'll just basically replace that with matches. Now since we also need by 8 here, we'll also do plus, we'll make a string and just give it by 8. And that is updating DOM for that, right? So next is we'll have to calculate for minutes and seconds, and we have to basically update it every single time. Now to do that, we need minutes, so we'll just do mat.floor and just do seconds. So since we already have seconds, we'll just do 60 right here. So we already have seconds right here, right? So we'll basically divide that by 60. That will give us 1 minute, since 1 minute equals to 60 seconds. Right, now for seconds, we'll just put secs here. And here I can just do seconds, and we'll just mod it by 60. Just like that. That'll give us the seconds. Now we'll do if seconds is less than or equals to 10. If it is, we'll do seconds. We'll do seconds equals to 0. And do plus seconds. There we go. Now we'll just do, after that, we'll just do document.getElementById. We'll get the time. So if we go here and type time here, we'll basically get the time. Give me a second here. I think I forgot to give ID for time. Oops. So here, at the value of that, I'm also going to give a time of time, right? Also going to give an ID for moves. I forgot to give this actually. And here I'll also give ID of matches. That would have been a big mistake. So I'm going to get the time and do text content, set that to minutes plus, plus we'll just do that, and we're basically formatting it, and we'll put seconds. Now here I'm just gonna format the document. So that is it for the time. That is it for the actual update stats function actually. And yeah. So the last function they have to make is the end game function. So this will basically end the game for us. Now to make this, I'm just gonna do clear time interval here. Basically reset the timer, and just do document.getElementById. We'll basically get the final moves. Here, if I go to down here, final moves, there we go. Right here, right? We'll basically put the text content for that, since it's empty right now. As you can see, it's empty here, right? We have to change that to moves, just like that. Now I'm just gonna copy paste that. So next is the final time. So for that text content, I will basically just give the same as this right here. So for that, I can just basically just copy paste copy this and paste it right here, and also format the document just like that. So next I can just do document.get do document.getElementById, get element by ID, get the win model, which is the model right here, right? We'll get the model and just do classless. Since it's actually displayed none, we just set the classless to classless.add, and we'll add show. So then we'll format the document one more time. And yeah, that is it for the end game function. So for last is the new game function. So here I'm just gonna do function set to new game. So if you remember, we basically made a new game function right here, right? So I have to make that too. So this will basically be a really simple function. We'll get the win model. Now since win model is active, which is, in this case it is, right? If the user finished the game, the model will be on the website. So we have to remove, we have to make it disappear. So to do that, we can just do remove, since we added it earlier, right? We can just remove the show, it will make it disappear. And ls, I can just set the clear interval, clear the timer again, and just start the game one more time. And yeah, we'll check if there's any errors here. So finally we can start playing the game. So here we'll basically play one game, see if there is an error. For now there isn't, right? It is working flawlessly. I'm still really terrible at this game. The timer's working, the moves are incrementing. Let's play a game. See how bad, we'll check how bad I am. I'm really terrible at this game. Wait, it was the same, right? No. What? No. Wait, I think I saw that. Okay, we have to check more. Wait. No. No, no, no. I just saw this. No. Wait, okay. One match. Oh. Ooh, okay. So that is not supposed to happen. Okay, so I think we messed up in check matches somewhere. So if matches, we said we increment the matches, not update that. So so matches is 0. So if matches is that, well, oh, okay. Common mistake. You're not supposed to do this. So it was supposed to be a double equal. So we'll basically check if matches equals to 8, since I just assigned matches is 8, and I basically ended the function. But oh well. Okay, redo. Redo. Okay. Redo. I'm still I mean, it doesn't change the fact that I'm still terrible at this game. Wait, okay, what's the oh no. Wait, what? Oh, okay. One match. Okay, so there's one match, so it's working now. It's working. So I'm gonna at least finish the game. If it lets me. Okay, side to side. Yes, okay, that's 2 out of 8. There we go. No, okay, so oh nice. Right, let's go. Oh, okay, that's 4. Okay, so I think this is that, right? Wait, I saw that. Okay, there we go. Okay. So last it will no. Okay, why is this no? Wait, what? Okay, there we go. And I mean, it's either this. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And yeah, that is pretty much it. That is 22 moves. It basically says that. Also give it that. And after doing that, it will basically give a brand new game to you. And one thing you can do is, oh, lucky me. So what we can do is basically click this new game to basically start a new game. And that is pretty much it for today's stream, guys. If you liked and if you enjoyed me coding, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that said, I'll see you guys in another stream or another video. So with that said, till then, bye bye everyone, guys, and good night.